Hi, welcome to my video on the review of second derivative of polynomial functions. And as in all my reviews, you can treat it as a quiz, which this one is marked at a 22. So you give your mark for each of the questions, total up your pages, add up to 22, and you'll get your percentage. Here we go. Number one, find f double prime if the f of x equals negative 4x squared plus 8x plus 3. So f prime is the first derivative, and negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. X, 2 subtract 1 is 1. And the derivative of 8x is 8 because it's a linear. And the derivative of a constant is 0. And the derivative of a derivative, double prime, derivative of a negative 8x is negative 8, and derivative of a constant is 0. So if you have this step, you get 1. If you have this, you get 2 marks. And it says if y equals 2/3 x cubed plus 4x squared minus 7x, find y double prime. So y prime is the first derivative. So 2/3 times 3 is 2x squared. And 4 times 2 is 8x, and a negative 7x derivative is negative 7. And double prime is the second derivative so we get 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 minus 1 is 1. Derivative of plus 8x is plus 8, and the derivative of a constant is 0. And again, you have each of these, you have 2 marks. And you notice this is a quadratic. The derivative is a linear, and the derivative of a linear is a constant. And a cubic derivative is a quadratic, whose derivative is a linear. Number 3, find the point of inflection. The point of inflection, it's where a point on the graph that the curve has a positive concavity on one side and negative concavity on the other. A concavity is, if it's positive, it opens upward, and if it's negative, positive it opens upward, negative it opens downward. So F is a minimum point, G is a maximum point, and the inflection point is between the maximum and minimum point. So the answer is D. So if you said D, you would be right. So notice on the left side, the concavity is downward, so that's the F double prime is less than 0. On the right side of D, the concavity is positive, so f double prime is greater than 0. So D is the answer. If you have D, give yourself a mark. Number 4, we have a graph, f of x, and it says that 3, 1 is the inflection point of f of x. This is the inflection point. So that means on the left side, it goes down or up in concavity. On the right side is the reverse. So notice that here, on this side, it's going downward, so that's when f prime x is negative. And on this side, left side, the concavity is positive. F double prime is positive. So it says f double prime is less than 0. Less than 0 means it's negative. That means it's going downward. So downward would be here. So that's when x is greater than 3. So if you got x is greater than 3, give yourself a mark. Total up the page, and you should hopefully have a mark out of 6. Number 5, find the inflection point of y equals x cubed plus 9x squared minus 5x plus 1. So the inflection point is when you have to do double derivatives. So y prime, first derivative, is 3 times 1 is 3, x squared. 2 times 9 is 18x. Negative 5x, derivative is negative 5. Derivative of a constant is 0. So we have double prime, derivative of a derivative, so 3 times 2 is 6x. Derivative of negative 18x, plus 18x is plus 18. Derivative of a constant is 0. So the inflection point occurs when y double prime is equal to 0. So that means 6x plus 18 is equal to 0. 6x is equal to negative 18. Divide by 6, x is negative 3. So the value of x where the derivative is equal to 0 is negative 3. So we'll take the negative 3 and sub it into the equation. So y equals, we're putting a negative 3 in the place of x here. So there's negative 3 cubed plus 9, negative 3 squared minus 5, negative 3 plus 1. So this is the value of x is negative 3. What would y value be? Well, negative 3 cubed is negative 27. And we got negative 3 squared is 9. 9 nines are 81. And negative 5 times negative 3 is 15. And we have a plus 1. If you add all that up, you get 70. So that means the inflection point is x is negative 3 and y is 70. And it's 5 points. So if you did the first derivative, 1 point, 2 points, you got a negative 3, you have another point, you have 70, another point, and if you wrote negative 370, you get 5 points altogether. Number 6, f of x equals negative 2x cubed minus 6x squared plus 4. Find the value of x if the concavity is positive. Again, we have to do the first derivative. The first derivative gives the slope of the tangent. So that's negative 2 times 3 is negative 6x squared. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12x. And that's a constant, so the slope of a constant is 0 because it's a horizontal line. The slope of a horizontal line is 0. Second derivative is negative 6 times 2 is negative 12x. Derivative of negative 12x is negative 12. And we want to find where the concavity is positive. So that means the concavity is positive when f double prime x positive means it's greater than 0. So that means that negative 12x minus 12 is greater than 0. So negative 12x is greater than 12. Divide each side by negative 12 and we get x, and that's negative 1. And because we divide by negative, the greater than becomes a less than. And that's the values of x that make it positive. In other words, if we take the values of x that's less than negative 1, sub those in here, we should have this positive. So less than negative 1 would be a negative 2. So negative 12 times negative 2 is 24. 24 plus 12. 24 subtract 12 is 12. So that's positive. So that's correct. And again, 1 mark, 2 marks, and we have 3 marks if you wrote this down. And if you divide and got negative 1 and you said less than, 5 marks in total. And again, there's 10 for that page. Hopefully everything is going well. And let's continue at the last page. Again, my reviews are done on all the videos, and the review is normally in order of the videos. F of x equals 1/4 x to the 4th minus kx cubed plus 5 over k divided by 2x squared. And f double prime 2 is equal to negative 9. So we have to do, we got f double prime. So let's do the first derivative. The first derivative of f is 1/4 times 4 is 1. So we get x cubed. Negative k times 3 is negative 3k x squared. 2 times 5k over 2, 2's cancel, and I get 5k x. That's the first derivative, but we got to go to the second derivative, because in the second derivative, the value of x as 2, we get the second derivative to be negative 9. So we need to do the second derivative, and the second derivative of x cubed is 3x squared, and that's a minus 6kx, and that's a 5k. Again, the cube becomes a square becomes a linear, degree 1, and a linear so notice when we multiply, this is a 1, when we multiply 1 by 5k, we get 5k. 1 subtract 1 is 0, so x to the 0 is 1. That's why you don't see the x here, because this is a linear. So we have f of 2 is negative. So that means if the f double prime of 2 is negative 9, so that means x is 2. So we put 2 into this expression, and we put 2 in, So the f double prime of, okay, so let's go f double prime of x is when we're putting 2 in, we get this, but that means that this expression is equal to -9. Again, I put -2 here, and I put 2 here, because this is the f double prime of 2. I put 2 here, and 2, and 2, and equals -9. Now we're going to solve this. 2 squared is 4, 3 fours are 12, and this is -12k plus 5k. So we're going to solve this for k. So 12 minus 7k equals -9. So we have a linear, so we move all the numbers to the right side. -12, so -7, that's a -21. Divide by -7, and I'll get 3. So when k is 3, that means the when you do the derivative of double prime on the 2, you get a -9. So 3 is the answer. And there's 4 marks for this. So if you did the first derivative, you get 1 mark. Second derivative, you get 2 marks. And if you sub this in correctly right here and come up with 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 marks altogether. And one more to do. Graph dy dx and d squared y and dx squared. So the dy dx is the first derivative. So the first derivative is, this is a cubic, so we take the maximum point and we drop it perpendicular down to the x-axis. And we got a minimum here, so we drop it perpendicular to the x-axis. Now I'm going to use a different color pen. I'm going to use a red one. So if the value of x that's here, the value of x here is the same value of x that's right here. So on this side, the slope of this curve is negative. So that means that the double prime is negative. So it's like this. Remember, this is a cubic. I got 3 x-intercepts is cubic. So the derivative is a quadratic, a parabola. So this parabola leaves here, and it don't go up, it goes down from here. So there it is. And between this point and this point, so when I drop a perpendicular here, I have this point. So between these 2 points, the slope of this cubic is positive. So that means if the slope is positive, that means it's a parabola, so it bends up like this. There's, and right here. So it goes like that. This point drops down to here. And let's look at from here onward. So we take this point, and the x value is here. So the x value of this curve is, this is the x value. This is the minimum point. So the x value, whatever the x value is here. So the slope of this curve right here is negative. So that means the derivative is the tail end of the parabola. So there it is there. So notice this is a cubic coming to a parabola. And there's the parabola shape. Now we'll take a different color pen that I did before, and let's do the derivative. So a cubic becomes a quadratic. The derivative of a quadratic is a linear. So the maximum point for this quadratic is right here. So this drops down to right here. So on this side of this point, this slope is negative. So that means the double derivative is derivative of a quadratic is a linear. So this negative slope comes down this way. That's all the negative numbers. And on this side of this point right here, on this side the slope of the curve is positive. So that means the derivative is above. So notice this is d squared y dx squared. And this one is dy dx. Now notice that dy dx is the same as y prime. And that's the same as the f of x prime. And the double derivative is the same as y double prime, or it's the same as f double prime x. They're all the same. And again, if you have that, so if you have this one drawn correctly, is 1 mark. If you have the linear drawn correctly, you get 2 marks altogether. Again, a cubic, the derivative is a quadratic. The derivative of a quadratic is a linear. And 6 marks for that page. And if you have it all totaled up, add all your pages up. And again, go back. If you look at the page, you have a mark out of 22. Divide 22 into the numerator, get a decimal, move your decimal 2 places to the right to get a percentage. And hopefully you have 100% on your quiz. And this is the last video in double derivative. We'll do more videos on a different part of the derivatives coming out. And again, if you like my video, click the like button, click the subscribe button, visit my website www.mathfullyexplained.com to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. That's the content of my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Just one word. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video helped you. Bye-bye.